It was the JACOB Morrison Show, Sunday night in Omaha. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, we'll get to the Coastal Carolina victory first. Then they will play the winner of Louisville, Oregon State. We'll talk about Louisville beating Arizona as well. And then during the ball game, Pete Thamel with a Thamel bomb. Is that a thing? It does appear, I guess, finally, maybe the Texas State may be heading to the Pac-12 and that La Tech is in. We'll see. Okay. Anyways, let's start off with the baseball. We did get the lid during the game, so that was nice. It was already 3-0 by this side. Would tell you if the hat brought good luck, but it was already 3-0. May have been 3-1 at the time. By the time the hat showed up. All right, JACOB Morrison was outstanding tonight. He was fantastic, right? And maybe it took him until the home run came, and then there were a couple of loud outs in that same inning, right? A little bit of a breeze, and it's 3-3. And then right after that, he got locked in. He brought it up another gear. That was outstanding. 7 2/3 innings, scattered 5 hits, gave up just the one solo home run, and did not walk anybody, and 7 strikeouts. And he was amazing. I think maybe the rain had something to do with him coming out. He couldn't get the final out of the inning, but he was fantastic. I presume he would go. Well, when is that first game? I don't know. Now I got to look when that first game is. I clicked it off. If they get that far, they obviously have a little bit to go to get to that. Saturday. Game 1 is Saturday if they get that far. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 5 days. He's usually on 6 days rest. All right. And he did have an extra day's rest this last time. Okay. So we'll see. All right. Again, with the whole pitching thing is, I'm not going to say screwed up, but it's certainly in flux based on what happened in game 1. All right. Getting back to this ball game. Anyways, obviously Coastal got off to a great start. Ethan Kleinschmidt just didn't have it. Nerves, whatever, couldn't feel for his fastball. And Coastal got on. I mean, Bodine, let off, and he got on with an error, right? Everything shortstop for Oregon State just kind of lackadaisical, making a play up the middle and threw high, and the first baseman couldn't handle the throw, and Bodine gets on. Then I think it was a walk. Let me get to the play-by-play here. And then let's see here. It was so it was Alexander actually strikes out. I mean, you on a pitch clock deal. Is that a lack of focus? Can you do that? You can't really do that. It was not a great, outside of the 3 runs, not a great first inning. Top of the first for maybe mental sharpness. All right, Barthol walked. And then Mitchell was hit by a pitch to load the bases. And then Pato is going to force home a run because he's hit by the pitch, or going to have ball 4. But apparently he leaned into the pitch. And those guys, Burke and Peterson, are pretty middle of the road. All right. I'm sure the SEC guys are going to think that or anti-SEC guys are going to think that they root for the SEC. I don't know so much Peterson, but maybe Burke. But I don't know if they do. And I mean, he looks like he's out. He looks like he's safe. In this case, it did look like he moved into the ball. And I guess that's just reflexes because it was ball 4, right? They're going to get screwed on a ball 4. But Tyler Thorndike took care of it, or Colby Thorndike took care of it, sorry. And it was 3-0. So that saved the inning. because that was that would have stopped it, right? It could have been 0-0. Having said that, it did allow for Kleinschmidt to stay in the game, because I think if he walks or it is a hit batter, and then he allows the 3-run double, if that's the case, we're presuming that happens, I think he comes out of the ballgame. I think at 4-0, he's out. But they let him stay in after 3-0, and the defense let him down. I mean, Bodine, a picture perfect double play ball, 4-6-3, right through Singer's wickets. You can't do anything about that, right? I mean, you get an absolute. I mean, it wasn't bouncing; it was just right through the 5-hole. So a run comes home with that, and then a wild pitch. I mean, even on a swing and miss, Alexander looked awful. And a lot of times, maybe you sell it that it was a foul ball, but the catcher knew it wasn't a foul ball because he ran right after it. He knew it wasn't tipped. And so that makes it 5-1. They go on for a 6-1 lead. And really, Oregon State never really threatened it. I mean, did they have more than one guy on base until the 8th inning? I don't think they had more than one runner on base in any inning except the 8th. Right? I mean, obviously he retired 15 in a row. So they didn't have a whole lot of guys on base to, begin with. 4th retired in a row, right? I mean, the home run was in the 3rd. Then he retired the next 3 guys. Retired in a row in the 4th, retired in the 5th, retired in the 6th, retired in the 7th. Retired the first guy out in the 8th. Next guy got on in the 8th. Talt struck out, and then you had the single. And then Johnson came in. That's the only time that Oregon State had more than one runner on base in the entire game. I guess in the 9th, they got a couple of guys on. They got a couple of guys on in the 9th, too. Okay. They got a couple of guys on in the 9th as well. So that's unreal. They really didn't threaten all game long. They didn't have any real scoring threats until the 8th and the 9th. That's amazing. And I don't really have a problem a lot of times when you don't want to use that closer when you don't have to. I like the idea that Johnson got in there. I like the idea that Lynch got in there. Sometimes these guys aren't pitching, and they haven't pitched in a while. And especially in the College World Series, now you do have off days, right? It's Sunday. Now it's Monday, but they played on Sunday. They're not playing again until Wednesday. It's great to have the off days, but Lynch wouldn't have pitched since Auburn, right? He didn't pitch the other day, right? He didn't pitch in the first game. That was Carbone. So it's good to get him in there, warmed up in the atmosphere on the mound, even if it was only for one batter, in which he struck him out in. So really good job. Coastal Carolina looks really good. They did leave the bases loaded in one inning. And they really took advantage of Oregon State's mistakes, is what I said. I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. Kleinschmidt looked nervous, could not get out of the jam that he put himself in the first inning, and the defense let him down later on. How many hits did Coastal have? Because Coastal Carolina only had 5 base hits, right? So they really took advantage of their mistakes. So whatever it is, a lot of times it is, I mean, as great as, JJ Spawn was on the 18th hole, as a side note, right? He puts it in, he drains one, what's that, a 50, 75 footer, whatever that putt was. Everybody else melted away. He was just the last one standing. Not like he shot a 63, but everyone else faded. And so he took advantage of everyone else's mistakes. And that's what Coastal did today. It's not like they scored 11 runs on 15 base hits, but they took advantage. They got bases loaded. They got a big 2-out base hit by Thorndike. Oregon State couldn't turn the double play, couldn't block the ball on a pitch in the dirt. and Omaha, and Coastal gets the victory 6-2. Again, they will take on the winner of Louisville and Oregon State. Let's talk about that Louisville Arizona ball game, because again, very fluky, very, very fluky. All right, we will do that when we come back after I tell you about game time. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs. Been a pretty good finals. The intensity, the buzzer beaters, and the fans losing their minds. It's a kind of atmosphere you must experience live. And this year's matchup, already delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats. And even for the biggest playoff games, prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off. And with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is the total game changer. And I looked just before recording. You can get tickets before I start. Who knows what they are now? But before I started recording Sunday night, you can get tickets to Wednesday's Coastal Carolina game for less than $40 plus fees. How about that? Right on the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Louisville bounced back, really was showing no signs of offense against Arizona. And again, I heard what Dan McConnell, the Louisville head baseball coach, he was pumping up his team there in the Dan McDonnell in the dugout about that. All right. He's wanting him to swing early. You get a fastball swing. The approach that Louisville has is really interesting. All right. They had some opportunities early in the game, or in the middle of the game, I guess. He certainly capitalized in the eighth late. They had first and second, and like the fifth, couldn't get a bunt down, did not get a run. They had first and third. They get a new pitcher in. They're swinging at first pitches. I don't like that. I don't mind. I can go back to the Friday night ball game. The first game was a Friday night. Yeah. They're down 1. And they have the tying run on first base, and I think 1 out. I don't mind getting caught stealing there, and I'll tell you why. The other team makes a play there. Make the other team make a play, and I don't mind that. All right, that's much better than sitting around waiting for a double. Make the other team make a play, and they did. So a lot of times you see, wow, you send him home, he got thrown out, and it's a bang-bang play. Well, did you see the 2 throws that came home, right? The right fielder played it off the wall. He relayed it to the second baseman. The second baseman's in shallow right field, and he threw it all the way home on one hop to the catcher, and he applied the sweeping tag, and it was still a bang-bang play. How could you send him home? Well, he barely was out, right, on 2 great throws. And so, in that case, Oregon State made a play. Louisville still came around to tie it up. They did lose that ball game. Now they're playing again, as it turns out, to face Coastal Carolina. Okay, so it is 3-1. They do get a sac fly to make it 3-2. And then, the inning caves in on Arizona, and the Pluta, the closer of the year, unreal, because he didn't give up Tony Pluta. He didn't give up against Coastal. He didn't give up the remember, he wasn't charged with the runs against Coastal. They were inherited runners. But as a closer, and you need 1 out, he gave up, I think just 1 out. He gave up a 2-run double. Instead of going to the inning needing 1 run, now it's 3. Now you're basically done, right? Well, he comes in and, unfortunately for him, gives up a couple of bloops, right? One bloop loaded the bases. Another bloop went from 3-2 to 4-3, right? And then they missed a squeeze play. I think that made it 5-3. Or maybe there was a base hit that made it 5-3. Then a squeeze play made it 6-3. Then there was a base hit, made it 7-3. It got away from Arizona fast. And again, a little fluky. That was what baseball is. You can make a really good pitch, which he did, to a power hitting left-handed batter. Hits it off the end of the bat and it falls in. Instead of being what didn't look to be a routine fly ball, but certainly wasn't hit very hard. Just hit them where they ain't. And that happened a couple of times. You can hit it on the nose, like Auburn did, not once, but twice, and you lined into 2 double plays. Instead of taking game 1 and being in control of the Super Regional, all of a sudden you blink and you're sitting at home. And so, very fluky game. Louisville battled. Again, some of their approach a little bit too aggressive for me in some cases. Some of the aggressiveness I agree with. They will be playing, by the time they play Coastal, they'll be playing their 4th ball game, and they don't get the time off like Coastal does. They have to play Tuesday, and then they play Wednesday. So they get a day off. So they get, they get the 3rd starter coming out now, and Eberle started and pitched pretty well on Sunday. And so who's going to go now on Tuesday before you even get to Wednesday? You can't worry about, if you're Louisville or Oregon State, you're certainly not worrying about Coastal Carolina. I'll worry about those 27 outs later. I need to get to that part, and I'll worry about managing that at that point in time later on. All right. As far as Coastal Carolina goes, I still think you got Riley Eichhoff. He only made, 46 pitches? He didn't get to 50 pitches. And he'll be on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. He'll be on 4 days rest. All right. You do have Luke Jones. All right. So I would, and then, you got, you do have Cam Fluke, although, let's see, what would that be? Wednesday. So that'd be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let's see, I think you want to be holding Cam Fluke back in case you do win the ball game. Fluke would pitch the, if necessary, ball game. And you want him to pitch probably either Saturday, the opener of the playoff, or the next game. All right. Again, they've been very careful with JACOB Morrison, incredibly careful. So I don't know which way they're going to go. He has not pitched on short rest for a lot of this season. Now, if they get that far and he's pitching in the best of 3, it's the last start of the season. All right. It would be on 1 short day rest. He's usually on 6. He was on extra rest for this start. We'll see. All right. And obviously it all depends on what happens on Wednesday. All right. It could be Riley. It could be Luke Jones. It could be some other guys. I'm sure we'll hear some other names coming up. I would tend to wait on the Cam Fluke thing. He pitched a little bit more. And so also you need to have somebody in case it doesn't go well to pitch on the next day, which would be Thursday. But if you do win, you're in really good shape. And maybe it is Riley Eichhoff and and Luke Jones for that day. All right. But also in this case, let's be straight. All right. The bats have to lead the way if you're going up against someone's fourth pitcher. All right. And you're going to get it's going to be like a midweek ball game. You could end up facing, if I am the opposing manager, I may not be pushing it. I may go, you go get me 6 outs, you go get me 6 outs, you go get me 6 outs kind of deal. You could be mowing them down. I'm taking you out. We're going to, no one's going to see anybody twice type of situation, whatever the case may be. So you get me 9 outs, but I'm not going to let anybody see anybody twice. That kind of situation. All right. Let's take a time out. We'll come back. Little football news. We're going to get into this later on in the week as well. Is Texas State out and Louisiana Tech in? We'll see. Right after I thank you. All right. We are continuing to grow despite the wishes of some Southern Miss fans. We're at 2011 subscribers. We have gotten like 30 subscribers in less than the last 30 days. And, the more Coastal plays, the more we're going to continue to grow. And I think if we get some, college football news here in the next week or so, it's not going to go anywhere soon. All right. We'll continue to pop on. If Texas State is out and Louisiana Tech is in, it's going to keep on growing. So really appreciate it. Don't forget about those audio downloads as well. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Can find them anywhere, but those are the most popular. So I do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all that great stuff. It is sincerely appreciated. All right. Okay, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's get back to the football here. Okay, so Pete Thamel, I had this lined up, inundated with Eagles fans that are not, Golden Eagles fans that are not happy with me. Okay, so Pete Thamel tweeted out, let's see what time this was, right in the middle of our baseball game, 9/11 Eastern time. The industry is bracing for a ripple of realignment, sources tell him. Texas and Kyle Bonagura. Okay. Texas State is the heavy favorite to join the Pac-12. Louisiana Tech is the heavy favorite to replace Texas State in the Sun Belt. What's next for Memphis? What's the CUSA ripple effect? All right. So he's got a whole story here. All right. What's next for the Pac-12? Texas State is the heavy favorite per ESPN sources to be issued a formal Pac-12 invitation. The league is still engaged with other schools per sources, but Texas State has clearly emerged as the forefront of that group. On July 1st, well, that's still a couple weeks away, the buyout for Texas State to leave the Sun Belt for the 26-27 season will rise from $5 million to $10 million. This is obviously a bigger motivator for Texas State than the Pac-12, but it's seemingly a significant enough deadline to trigger action. Okay. Texas State has loomed for months as the favorite to join the league and was prominently discussed in the Pac-12's virtual meeting earlier this week. It's been the league's top target for months and expected to have voting support as the league presidents are enamored with football holding the state and the president's leadership. Texas State is a booming university with enrollment of more than 40,000, boasts a lot of tennis and football potential with a rich local talent base and a rising young coach, G.J. Kinney, at the helm. All right. I'm looking for the next. All right, where's the Pac-12 go next? We'll worry about that later. What's next for Memphis? I was looking for. Oh, okay. Will be the dominoes of Pac-12 adding Texas State. All right. In the fall, when Texas State was flirting with other leagues, the Sun Belt had started to put out together contingency plans. That included conversations per sources that established Louisiana Tech as a favorite over several other targets, something that I would enjoy, but some other people are not liking that, including Western Kentucky. If Texas State were to leave, there would still need to be more discussion and presidential action before any addition. Louisiana Tech's location aids it here as Sunbelt plays in divisions in football, and a Texas State departure would mean a vacancy in the West. All right. Very close to Monroe, obviously, and huge rival with the Cajuns, something that they have now with Southern Miss finally, but it would be an instant rival with the Cajuns. The early appeal of Louisiana Tech that has been talked about per sources that has a geographic location to create natural rivalries and easy travel with ULM, Louisiana and Southern Miss, all in the same geographic footprint. Louisiana Tech brings a strong tradition in baseball and softball, which are valued by the Sun Belt. They just bypassed football and basketball. Sun Belt's realignment strategy for years has been to double down on regional rivalries, and Louisiana Tech would fall in that category. Western Kentucky would be attractive because of the program's strong history in football and longstanding success in men's basketball. It would have some support from schools in the East, but the early read is that Louisiana Tech is ahead. Per Conference USA's bylaws, the departing school would owe 2 years of revenue distribution for a school to leave for 2026. The cost projects to be more than $5 million. Conference USA officials are concerned enough about the potential ripple to their level that they've begun strategizing behind the scenes to replace a member school being poached. If Louisiana Tech or another school departed Conference USA and the league was to expand from 10 members, the favorite, the Conference USA, is Charleston State. That school has shown significant financial commitment to athletics. All right, so there you are. So this seems like the proverbial ball is rolling. That was Pete Thamel and Kyle Bonagura reporting. I'm a big fan of the Louisiana Tech thing. Western Kentucky would be a big help, I think. And this is where the Sun Belt needs to be a little proactive. The Sun Belt is very good at reacting. All right. The last time when Texas and Oklahoma left, they did a really good job bringing Southern Miss along, bringing Marshall along, and Old Dominion along, and JMU along. They did a really good job at reacting. They need to be proactive in this one, whereas Texas State is leaving. I get it. You need to do more than just bring in Louisiana Tech. Why not go get 2 more schools? Go get ECU. How about that? That wouldn't be bad. Go get Eastern Kentucky or Eastern Carolina and Western Kentucky. Go get those 2. How about that? Refigure the divisions, whatever the case may be. I'm not sure the divisions. I like the divisions. All right. I'm not sure others do, but I like the divisions. It does give you something to play for. I like them. Anyways, Western would help me, and only because, well, I can't be that far away from it. So I would put that in there. But I like Louisiana Tech. Hopefully they would do a little bit better on the football field. All right. And the basketball thing. And that would be a great rivalry for the Cajuns. Perfect rivalry for the Cajuns. Maybe it would help ULM as well. Lift their program, right? Rising tides, lift all boats. I think I got it right this time. But I think you just can't be reactive to Texas State leaving and bring 1 in. I go get a couple. Don't wait for more shoes to drop. See if you can be a little bit more proactive when you're saying goodbye to Texas State and you're bringing in 1, go get 2 more. And now you're really solidified. And I think you're in good shape if you can get that. That's what I would do. I wouldn't leave it alone at just, we got Louisiana Tech. That's kind of like a 5 to the rest of the conference. That's kind of like a 5.5 to 6. That's, for me, that's good because I like what it does for the Cajuns and ULM. I don't think it doesn't move the needle at all. Maybe for Southern Miss, it does a little bit, but not much. But I think for the rest of the conference, you go get Western Kentucky and ECU, and everyone is like, that's a big win. So let's see what Keith Gill has done. I know bowl-wise, it's not great, but conference-wise, he's done really well adding teams. TV deal, not that great. Maybe the new teams in the deal, in the conference will help change that. Okay. We'll do more of the football. I was going to try and save that for Tuesday, but we'll come back and probably do more of that on Tuesday because, well, Coastal Carolina's not playing until Wednesday. And we don't even know who they're playing until Louisville and Oregon State play on Tuesday. So we got to wait a couple of days. So we'll preview that game on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll recap Coastal's game. So we'll see if we can do some football on Tuesday on Tuesday's episode. All right. So stay tuned for that as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. Congratulations to Coastal Carolina. They defeat Oregon State 6-2. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. All right. And please don't forget about those audio and downloads on Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. All right. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Thank you so much, folks. Have a tremendous week.